I imagine for those people that do join the challenge as well, it's kind of almost like a marketing thing for you as well, because they get to know a bit about you, how you work and stuff like that. And that's probably why this last month has been one of your best months, I guess, because I imagine quite a few of those people have seen how you work, see how you go about your business, and then want to work with you on a one-to-one coaching level as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, in order to buy from someone, you need to know, like, and trust them. And if you've got a month of me occupying some level, some sort of mental real estate, like, that's so valuable from a marketing perspective. And, I always pride myself on just being, nice to everyone by default and being a good person.
Yeah.
And I don't do that because I expect to get a reward for it. It's just fulfilling for me to do that. But if you spend a month experiencing that from me, and then I turn around and say to you, I have some coaching spaces open, like, would you be interested? You already feel like you know me and you have a good sort of perception of who I am as a person. So I guess, you're going to be more likely to be interested in that.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to be more inclined to sort of take up that offer. So do you do the cold shower every single day, or was it just for August and January, or have you done it in between as well? Or is that just the challenges that were August and January?
No. So it was the challenges that were August and January, but I did keep it going afterwards.
Kept it going.
Yeah, because it was, just that, benefit from a work ethic perspective. I was like, I don't want to lose that. And certainly towards the end of last year, I wasn't as consistent, which was another benefit of doing the January challenge. Like, I was planning on doing that anyway, but it was just good for me as well, because I'd sort of started to let that slip and maybe didn't do the weekends, or, let the odd one go because I snoozed my alarm or something.
I guess having 108 people signed up as well keeps you a bit more accountable to do it yourself.
100%. It'd be a bit rough if I'm asking these people to do it. And some of them live all over the world in a lot colder locations in the UK, even though it has been absolutely Baltic through most of Jan. If they're able to do it, then I definitely should be.
See, I've never been one to take up on the cold showers, but I live in a house of 6, so every now and again, all the hot water's done, and then you have to have a cold shower by default.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is not ideal, especially when you want to get in and have a nice hot shower and get surprised by freezing cold. Doesn't last very long. Put it that way.
That's not great. I honestly, I could not stand under cold water before I started doing this. Like, no chance. I wasn't able to do it, and now it's not easy. Like, it's still, in the morning, I still have to convince myself to do it. But once you're in there, it's nowhere near as bad. And I noticed it with other things as well, like getting in the sea, or just water. Like, I went to South Africa last year, and we were up a mountain and went in a waterfall pool, and that was absolutely freezing, and everyone was dying. And I was like, oh, you know what? This is pretty decent. I don't mind it.
It's not too bad.
So that's pretty nice as well.
So, have you got any other sort of self-improvement methods that you practice at the moment other than the cold showers?
I'm quite big on a morning routine, in the sense of I have a few things which I like to do, and I'll preface all of this stuff with, recently I'm learning and developing the ability to not need to do these things in order to operate. I think there was definitely a period where I thought to myself, if I haven't done these things, I almost became superstitious. I was like, if I haven't done these things, I won't be able to perform today. And that then becomes, that doesn't serve you. Having a morning routine then becomes a hindrance, not a help. Because if you can't do it perfectly, which you undoubtedly won't be able to do all the time, it stops you from, pushing yourself during the day, which is stupid, and the same for an evening routine. So just as a bit of context. So at the minute, my morning routine is the cold shower, meditate, and habit track. So I have a few habits that I like to do every day. Meditation is one of them. Exercising is another. Planning my day, the next day is another one. That's quite important for me. Reading, what else we got? Yeah, meditate, read, exercise. Sleep as well. So getting like 7 hours sleep. So those are kind of my go-to. Plus, journaling as well is probably a really valuable one, which I use. It's not something that it's not something where I've thought like in the moment, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this. I can tell this.
Yeah, like the affirmations.
Yeah,
and all that.
It's not something. I used to do affirmations actually all the time. And at the time when I did it most is when I saw my biggest growth on social media actually. Really? So I can't tell you that was why, but it was something I was doing at that time, and the growth I saw on social media was something I didn't really believe was possible. But yeah, the journaling itself, like I couldn't point to you and say, oh, is there times like, let me go there. I couldn't point to like, oh, this is the benefit that it has. But at the end of every year, I like to do like a review of the year. And part of that is just reading through my journal. And I try and do it every day, but undoubtedly there are days when I don't. And it's just really nice to see that journey you've been on, because a year is such a long time that you forget so much of what's happened. And it's really cool to see like in this great period, this is how I was feeling, or it just reminds you of that win. Or in a challenging period where things aren't going your way, you have like an insight into how you're thinking about that problem. And then the end of the year comes and you look back on it and you might find actually your perspective has totally changed. And that says to you, I have actually developed as an individual. And I find that really, really valuable. So that would be something which I would encourage people to get involved with for sure.
I think we have pretty similar sort of, not almost daily routines. I don't do the cold showers and I don't tend to meditate, but I am one for planning my week out. Like I go straight into my calendar on like a Saturday or Sunday, plan my whole next week out. I know what I'm going to be training on which days. I know what I've got on to sort of get done. I'll put in like editing time sometimes if I've got something that needs to go out. I do try and read. I haven't read for a little bit, but that's mainly because I just end up sitting on my Mac editing videos until I go to bed. Another one that I invested on quite heavily last year was sleep. What I was finding, I've never really been that great of a sleeper, and what I was finding that I'd wake up multiple times throughout the night just quite hot. So what I've done, I saw an advert actually, it was on Instagram. It's called an Oola. So basically it is a water-cooled mattress topper.
Oh, nice.
So it's like a mattress topper with like a load of piping through, and then there's this box outside the bed which pumps water into the bed to keep the temperature at whatever you set it at. So it can be between like 12 and 45 degrees. So what I did was set it's around 20 degrees, depending on how cold it is outside as well. Sometimes I knock it up a little bit higher, but it'll basically keep my body temperature at the same all night long. And my sleep has been the best it has ever been for 26 years.
No way. That's cool. That's really cool.
Honestly. I mean, it was a little bit of an investment. I got it on a sale as well. It was like 400 quid.
Shit.
But it is hands down the best 400 quid I've ever spent.
Yeah.
Because my sleep used to be horrendous. Especially before COVID, when I was in the office 5 times a week. I'd be getting up at like 5:45 every day, do a stint in the office, then try and train after it, heavily rely on pre-workout. And then you just like conk out and then try and have to do it every single day. So it's something that I invested in. And they gave a 30-day free trial as well. So like if I didn't like it, I could have sent it back.
Are they sponsoring
after about a week?
Are they sponsoring the podcast, by the way? You're giving a great review here.
They're not, but I might have to send them this video and just say, right?
He's telling everyone about the 30-day free trial and everything. Love it.
Oh, well, no, that was the thing for me, because I was like, obviously it was quite a lot of money to fork out on something that might not be worth it. And after about a week, I was like, it's that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it's part of my daily routine in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Sleep is have a suitable sleeping environment.
Yeah. Sleep is like, if you listed out the benefits of having better sleep, like if there was a pill you could take to give you those things, like it would be the biggest thing in the world. So it's almost like a superpower. Like I know I've had periods where I'm really disciplined, and I naturally I conk out so much. Like I have no trouble sleeping whatsoever. It's a really rare occasion if I do. But in terms of like the amount of time, like getting into bed and having enough time in bed and resting, I've had periods where I'm really good at that, and like my productivity levels, my concentration levels are so much higher. And then now at the minute, I'm like had a good couple of weeks at the start of the year, but since then, like my nighttime routine has not been as consistent, and so that means I end up going to bed later. And I'm really good at getting up in the morning, so regardless of how much sleep I've had, I'll get up. Prime example is last night. I think I fell asleep at about 2:30 and was up at 6.
That's far from ideal.
Yeah, that is very rare that happens. But I've got a few things coming up, and that, from a work perspective, that I'm quite excited about. So sometimes it's just a bit hard to switch off. But yeah, sleep 100% is such a big one.
I remember watching a podcast, and it was of this, I think it was like a CrossFit world champion or something like that. I think he's the most decorated CrossFitter. I'm not really into that scene.
Matt Fraser.
He was, I think that might have been the guy. And he said, if you got the benefits from sleep and it was sold as a drug, it'd be illegal because of the benefits. Like you say, like the difference that a decent couple of nights sleep on the run makes to your productivity, concentration, memory. It helps in so many aspects, even if it's like just getting to the gym. If you're a person that struggles getting to the gym, the more tired you are, the less likely you are to actually go. It plays into energy levels, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, no, it's a huge one.
Before we end up turning this into some like sleep expert podcast, which I don't think either of us are, we're going to run it back towards the start of the podcast where you said about running your own business and wanting to create your own startup. So you created your own company called Bell a couple of years back. Do you want to just let everyone know what that was all about to begin with?
Yes, yeah. So Bell was essentially Tinder for finding an online fitness coach. So it's funny, I've not talked about it in a little while because I shut it down about midway through last year, but all of the spiel like comes back so quickly. Like I'd be like try and talk to investors and stuff like that. So, Tinder for online coaching. Bell is the persona you interacted when you signed up. So the sign up process was like a conversation with Bell, and it also stood for better in everyday life. And that was kind of the company value. Like we weren't trying to be this fitness brand which plugs like six packs and like extreme diets. It was more about going and training so that you can enjoy everyday life. That was kind of the ethos that the company was founded on, and as a really just sort of as an extension of my own outlook on fitness. So I set that up after graduating from university alongside working or being an online coach. Before doing that as well, like straight after university, I worked in a pub for 6 months to help just get out my overdraft. And then I had like 2 online coaching clients, and I was like, I have to either work on Christmas Day or New Year's Day, and I'm going to be out of my overdraft in like January with a coaching client. So I'm sacking this off. I'm just going to get rid. Spent wasted so much time trying to decide what to do and plan and stuff. But ended up bringing on board 2 co-founders who were technical co-founders. So they had the kind of technical skills to like code and actually build the software, the platform itself. So that was really, it's such an awesome journey, like thing to experience, like taking something from an idea in my head to this immaculate website. Alex, the guy who was like running the front end and was the product lead and stuff, he was so good at designing things, and it looked so legit. And it was so funny that people like people would see the website, and then I would tell them actually what was happening or what the business was, like me and two other blokes. And they'd be like shocked because it looked so good. But yeah, so to take something, an idea, put it out online, we ended up working with about 50 coaches. We had like 50 online coaches on our books. And, you know, for some of them, we actually managed to generate like a really sizable amount of revenue for them. Like, you know, some people had yearly coaching programs that cost $1,000, and people signed up to them for multiple years off the back of Bell. So to like have like that much of a financial impact, like imagine being the person responsible for you know, $1,000 pay rise for someone else through this product that you've built. That was really cool. So yeah, I can't remember what the question was. I just start talking about it and I go off that.
No, it's literally just about how it started. Were they two technical guys? Were they friends, or how did you go about finding them?
So they were like loose, like the most loose mutual friends ever. I went to university in Birmingham, to Aston, and they did like an incubator after university to like help you launch the company. So whilst I was up there, I stayed with one of my old housemates, and he was into bouldering. So went bouldering and met one of the guys, Alex, who was the product lead, the guy that was great at designing stuff and building stuff. And he mentored me for a few months, just like kind of giving me a bit of direction as to what I needed to do to like build out the concept and the website and stuff. And then he didn't have the technical skills to do all the back end coding. So there was a, you know, like quite simple algorithm which we used to match people up and connect you with the more relevant coaches from the database. And so he had a friend, Rob, who had those skills, and they were both on furlough because of COVID. So it was literally like perfect timing. And so they originally I was going to contract them to build the website. And it became clear very early on that we were talking about things way in the future. They were super passionate about the mission and the vision behind the business. So it just became like, it was a no-brainer to, you know, bring them in, have them as technical co-founders and give them equity in the business.
Thank you very much for watching part 2 of the podcast. If you'd like to see part 3, click right here. If you're new, subscribe. And if you enjoyed it, drop a like below. Thank you.